Hi, I'm Bruce Klopfleisch, a college political science instructor and attorney. Join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters. We dive into how civics, politics, and law affect you. Discover how government impacts your daily life from the federal level all the way down to your local city. Each week, I'll share my key takeaways and teaching moments on crucial civics concepts to help understand what is happening in the current political environment. That's Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch, Sundays at 5 p.m. or anytime on your favorite podcast app.
Summer is going fast, but Next Chapter Booksellers has everything you need to keep up with your summer reading. From the hottest new titles to timeless classics, Next Chapter Booksellers has something for any taste. Their friendly staff are great at making recommendations for the perfect summer read for you or your loved ones. Plus, Next Chapter Booksellers has a wide variety of puzzles and games for those rainy days. So keep up with your summer reading at Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Bonjour, hello. My name is Wabin. I am an enrolled member of the White Earth Nation, descendant of the Navajo Nation, and co-chair of the Indigenous Employee Resource Group with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. MnDOT is hiring for a variety of positions from road maintenance to accounting and more. We offer great benefits. For more information or to set up a one-on-one resume and application assistance, visit mn.gov/careers, or you can text or call 612-257-2388. 612-257-2388.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 59, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 75. The music is still the hottest at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. View their upcoming music schedules and food menus at croonersloungemn.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, any cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. And this portion of the show is supported by Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. A big thank you to all of our supporters and donators over the years.
Yes, definitely. They kept us alive during COVID, and we really appreciate them. And anybody else that can just throw in a $5 bill or something. And hey, we have, I lost my place here. Hey, we have our friend Ruth Ann Buffalo, President and CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in Minneapolis. And I wanted to say a big hello and welcome, Ruth.
Hi, Dosha Madzagads. Thank you for having me.
For some reason, you look really rested. We haven't seen you in a week or so. How you doing?
Must be, I don't know, getting closer to fall, maybe.
Yeah, I hear you. So, how are things going? I don't know. We got the things happening nationally, and uh, we got the RNC, and I know that's happening in Milwaukee, and so there's a lot of things, strange things going on here in Turtle Island.
Yeah, for sure. Mandaree Powwow or Mandaree Celebration is this weekend, so that's
Oh,
something to look forward to. I'm hoping to get back to my res. That would be amazing, just to connect with relatives, family, and the community. My mom's house, our house, is literally just over the hill from the powwow grounds. So you could just sit on the front porch and listen to all the doings. So it would be good to get back to the res sometime soon for sure.
well, tell our listeners out there, and especially our allies that listen to the show, how important it is to reconnect and go back to the res and the celebrations and see relatives. I mean, it's a gift that we have as Native people to be able to do that.
It's so important. I think it just provides a strong sense of who you are and where you come from. You always hear people say, don't forget where you come from. And so it's so important to know where you come from, because that just helps the world that we live in so much better. I think once we're grounded people, and whether you're connecting or reconnecting, it just is it's so much more helpful to others in everything on all levels. I think just staying grounded is good. So yeah, for me, when I go back home on the res, it's always just a breath of fresh air. I always feel 100% rejuvenated, and because just being connected to the land, where my grandparents lived, great grandparents. Of course, it's present day where we live, but there's still a lot of history at Fort Berthold Indian Reservation, along the Missouri River, and it's beautiful. People say it's beautiful there, and I agree. But yeah, because I didn't get to meet my grandparents. They passed away before I was born, and so on my mom's side of the family, and so it's always nice, just to go back to their old house, which is standing. It was brought up from Elbow Woods during the early 1950s when the Pix Loan Act occurred. It impacted communities up and down the Missouri River. 94% of our agricultural land was flooded, and we are historically agricultural peoples. And so growing up, we would always go out to my grandparents' house out in Independence, and that's the area that they were forcibly relocated to after the flood. And so Elbow Woods is underwater. It's in the bottomlands. But yeah, when I hear of people talk of Elbow Woods, it always sounds like Pleasantville, just fertile land, cottonwood trees. And we were very self-sufficient people, and used to have other tribal nations come to us and work as like hired hands and things like that with horses and cattle and stuff. So we were very self-sufficient people and very giving people.
Yeah, and it's excellent that you brought that up because that's where I was leading to. Because we've had many talks about that, and it's good for our listeners to hear that was only 1950 that this happened, and this relocation thing that was not that long ago.
Right. Yes, exactly. And as a result of the Pix Loan Act, some of the impacts included boarding schools, where my grandparents were forcibly relocated to, in Elbow Woods area. They then were so far out in the country that they were not close to a new school bus line, and so they were being encouraged to send their kids to boarding schools, but they weren't totally upfront with what that actually entailed. So my mom and her siblings all attended Wahpeton Indian boarding school on the other side of the state, but 6 hours away from Independence. And yeah, and so years later when I went to boarding schools, one being in Fargo, yeah, I would call home and be homesick, and my mom would share, she was an hour south of me, when she was 5 years old. So I was like,
Wow.
drying my tears. Okay, I'm fine, but
Mm.
yeah, lots of stories I grew up hearing of aunties, um, trying to get back home to their parents, running barefoot through cornfields in the middle of the night. And,
Mhm.
but yeah, just a lot of history there. And my mom, was punished for speaking her language at the young age of 5 years old. And so, interestingly enough, like at the United Nations, they have declared it the decade of languages. And so I was out there a year ago for the expert mechanism on the rights of Indigenous peoples and was able to do a quick intervention, they call it, but it's basically just reading testimony, reading a statement, a 3-minute statement. And I had gotten credentialed then, and again this year by International Indian Treaty Council to attend. My daughter and I were out there last week in Geneva, Switzerland, and also did a panel discussion on boarding schools and the intergenerational trauma surrounding boarding schools. Department of Interior's Heidi Totoracini was on the panel, and then also Heather Whiteman runs him, who leads a legal clinic in the University of Arizona, Tucson. She was also the lead legal counsel on the first UN filing of the missing children that we were a part of, and it was recently submitted last week of June.
Wow. How exciting is it to have your daughter kind of fall in your footsteps? Because I've known her since she was young, and she's still young, but it's great that she went with you to this, and I see her around a lot, and especially now that you guys are in Minnesota.
Yeah, she's you don't want to put pressure on anyone in their path and what creator has uh, in store for them or plans for our children, but definitely told my daughter, when we're in those spaces, like, make sure you soak everything up and be a sponge, because not everybody can be in those spaces, and so she's an artist and drawer, and she was drawing portraits while she was sitting in on those meetings. But she did read a statement of support for Leonard Peltier during the Indigenous Peoples Caucus last Sunday, I believe. So it's super powerful to hear the voice of our youth, our future generations, for sure.
Wow, that's beautiful to hear. Hey, we're here with Ruth Buffalo, Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, CEO and president. We'll be right back after this short break.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio here to tell you about the best window contractor in Minnesota, 952 Windows. Here's why I trust them in my home projects. 952 Windows is a part of Loyal Home, founded by former window light workers known for their ethics and quality. It's a top-notch remodeling company that's been flying under the radar for too long. They've even sold to competitors' employees who want top-tier quality for their homes. For the best in windows and doors, have 952 Windows take care of your next project. They offer the longest warranties and were rated Energy Star's most efficient in windows and doors. Believe me, I've known the owner for decades, so I can vouch for their excellence. They're not just about windows either. They're your go-to for roofing, siding, kitchens, bathrooms, and more. Plus, they've got you covered on onyx bath and rosebud cabinets. Trust me, you won't regret giving them a call at 952 Windows or 952windows.com.
Attention transit customers. On Saturday, June 15th, Metro Transit will make changes to transit service within your community. As we do each quarter, we review our resources and ridership trends. These service changes continue our ongoing work to best serve customers throughout our system with our given resources. A summary of the upcoming service changes and a preview of the updated schedules are available now at metrotransit.org. Again, that's at metrotransit.org.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic, or NAC, in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Hey, we are here with our friend, and we are always excited. Ruth Buffalo, President and CEO of Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and talking about some like high-end work that you're doing and have been doing. What was the most difficult thing for you to learn in your political and what was the hardest thing for you? Because I know you're in the community. You've been in the community a long time, even before you were a state representative. What was the most difficult thing for you?
Gosh, I don't know. I might, include that in my book someday. Just kidding.
Oh, you should write a book.
I'm not sure. And I don't say that in an arrogant way. I just say, like, there was so much work that was done. And, I think I kind of went in blindly, naively, maybe foolishly, and thinking, not really. Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly. I think what was the question? No, just kidding.
Well, you put one foot in front of the other and kept on doing good work. And I know, Haley and I know, and our listeners know that you have a great heart. So when you walk in these places that normally don't have natives, you go with a good heart.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to always assume, good intentions of everyone, and I think sometimes that's to a detriment, where you think maybe you're too trusting or think. So I think, yeah, maybe that was the most surprising, disappointing thing, was just seeing the ugly side of politics, where at times it felt like high school in a sense, but the cliques and the underhandedness, I think, I think back to a committee hearing where I'm going to always, stand with tribal people no matter what. But seeing things when they shift so quickly, but you still stay grounded in your values, and people who are supposed to help you, allies with, who are going to help with something. Then if I change my mind in a bill hearing, that was their bill that they carried, and if I changed my mind on my vote because I wanted to support tribal peoples, because tribal peoples believed a bill would be detrimental to them, I then went with the tribal peoples, and then the ally then, stopped by my desk later that day and said, so-and-so that I was going to help you with, well, I'm not able to do that anymore. Just kind of things like that, where it was a bit cutthroat. And I guess I think that's the sad part of things, is that ultimately the people suffer, suffer off of this behavior, and so I think it is true that you do need more good-hearted, grounded people in those spaces. And I think it's good to have that, those different trainings and ideas, and expertise areas. But I think at the heart of it for me, it's the peoples, being good to one another, being good relatives to one another, being good ancestors, because you have to live with yourself, at the end of the day. When your term ends, or if you're termed out, the decisions you make or the deals you make within those halls always have to align with you and future generations, I think. So it's holding yourself accountable first and foremost is very important. And I would say that was one of the disappointing things, is just seeing unkind behavior play out, and so.
Yeah. It's hard because you go into a situation like this, whether it's tribal politics or uh, state politics like you were in, and go in there and think that everybody's on the same page, that we want to help our people, and you find out that there's so many other things going on, and that's one of the last things that are on their list.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's really what it is like the what are the intentions? What are the true intentions? Are you just there for whatever, or yeah, I don't want to be too go into like a negative direction, but I think having true intentions for the people and remembering why you're there is super important. And also knowing that change doesn't always occur within those walls either. Change occurs from, I would say, always ground up, from grassroots up. But when you're in that space, it's important to do as much as you can, but to stay true to your values always. And so I think that's important, and to try to educate as many people as you can, because I remember having all walks of life, people from all backgrounds come to me and say, they miss, even to this day, they miss my lives, or live feeds of just basic information that isn't readily available for the rest of us. If you don't grow up in that sort of sphere or that sort of network and click, you're not going to know that information, and that information should be readily available to everybody.
Yeah, well, you mentioned boots on the ground, and that's what you're doing now, and it's exciting, probably change for you to be able to help people almost immediately. And let's talk a little bit about that with Minnesota Indians Women's Resource Center and all the great work that you guys are doing and going to be doing for these past many decades.
Yes, the staff are amazing. We have so much talent here under this roof, and it's just amazing. And I love coming to and from work every day. There's always something new and exciting, to see the creativity of our staff. So we're bonding pretty well, and we've gone into ceremony a few times together, and I think that's important. But it's just being able to watch people, grow and like have at it. Like, please, just this idea you have, take it and run with it. Like, there's no one's holding you back. Like, let's just do it, because it's all good. It's all goodness. It's all good. It's all comes from a good place, and it's to help our relatives that need the help the most. And so, yeah, it's beautiful. We just added 5 new board members, so I'm really excited about that. And they're all from the community here and of the community. So that's also something that's really hopeful and inspiring. So we have, I think, a board of 10 members now. We like doubled the numbers of our board. So I'm hoping that the board will support our efforts here on the ground. And yeah, I think it's amazing. We met with the Equal Law Center today, so we're just trying to partner and strengthen relationships that we have and continue to support our staff as best we can. Our staff are amazing. They do such heavy heart work on a daily basis. We hope to be hiring a front desk security person soon. So in the meantime, I've been trying to do my best fielding the phone calls, and I would say about 85% of the phone calls are for housing requests. And so that's, pretty telling of the need. And we're continuing to go after funding and donors, going through the traditional grant funding streams, but also trying to be creative and look at other funding streams. But yes, first and foremost, want to make sure our staff are well taken care of and that they feel loved and valued and appreciated, because that's so important to feel loved, valued, and appreciated. And I think oftentimes that gets missed in the minutia of things, and it's so important that we continue to value each other and lift each other up.
Absolutely. And it's amazing that we have the opportunity here at Native Roots Radio is to talk to great leaders like you that that do have their workers are more partners and have their back in their mental health. It's so important and refreshing to hear. And that's because it's our way, right, Ruth?
Exactly. It's completely our way. It's bringing back, or staying true, or keeping our ancestors, our relatives, their wishes, their prayers alive. By being good to one another. I mean, it's just that simple, but we have to never forget that and continue to strive to be the best we can, because it essentially is honoring our ancestors and the future generations for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, we only got a minute left, and I want you to give a shout out how people can contact you and find out more about Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center across Turtle Island, and also how they can support your work.
Yes, mods and odds. Thank you. Go to miwrc.org/donate. So miwrc.org/donate.
Well, Ruth, thank you so much for coming on, and really a big Peenagigi for all the work you do and your family does, and now you are here in the Twin Cities and helping us out here. I really, really appreciate you checking in.
Mods and odds. Always good to see both of you. Thank you for your good work and to help amplify our voices.
Right on. That was Ruth Buffalo, the CEO and president of you just took that down. I couldn't read
Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center.
Thank you. Hey, up next, Heather Keeler, State Representative of Minnesota and all-around groovy person. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Attention transit customers. On Saturday, June 15th, Metro Transit will make changes to transit service within your community. As we do each quarter, we review our resources and ridership trends. These service changes continue our ongoing work to best serve customers throughout our system with our given resources. A summary of the upcoming service changes and a preview of the updated schedules are available now at metrotransit.org. Again, that's at metrotransit.org.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
July is the annual store-wide sale at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Come see our diverse selection of wood, gas, or electric fireplace products for indoor and outdoor living. And right now, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can assure you the best price of the season on every product in the store. Let Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces help you choose and experience the joy of sitting by a fire.
Summer is a great time to install your fireplace. You can find your perfect fireplace and have it installed and ready before the cold weather hits again. If you already have a wood fireplace, consider a fireplace insert. Come and see the entire selection at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces on East Franklin and Riverside in Minneapolis. They will create a fireplace that works for you. Efficient, clean burning, and environmentally smart.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
is an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on-site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 59, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 75. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is holding their annual sale all month long. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has been finding a place for fire in your life since 1977. Visit their showroom at Franklin Avenue and Riverside in Minneapolis or visit woodlandstoves.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native Concrete and Masonry. Check out their work at nativeconcretemasonry.com and give Chuck a call at 612-597-0421.
Yes, give him a call. Hey, we are here with State Representative Heather Keeler. Looks like, Heather, you have unbelievable, beautiful lighting going on here. If anybody's watching on YouTube or Facebook, you look like a movie star. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm actually looking at Lake Bemidji. So I sent Haley a picture of what I was looking at, and it's absolutely wonderful view. I travel a lot, trying to get people engaged. Voter registration is a big thing that we're doing right now in communities, and just really inspiring people to get out and get engaged right now. I think that often people in frustrating times want to just throw their hands up and be like, well, we'll leave it to you guys to fix it all. But as one of those people who is part of the you guys, we actually need all of you to join us to fix some of the massive problems that we're feeling locally, regionally, and nationally right now, for sure. So just out doing the community work.
Well, as state representative, you are like the final frontier line of sanity that we have nationally, and you can take care of things locally. So we're really lucky to have you and other representatives and senators that are for us.
Yeah, it's really hard. And we encourage people to run all the time. And I know it's scary, and I know it's complicated in our already busy lives, but I think, we just really have to consider stepping out of our comfort zone and stepping into our courage space to run or to be really involved in whatever the future you want your community to look like. And so I'm lucky to serve alongside some leaders who really believe in that. But we need more. And so I'm in my like passion space, Robert, right now, of finding like who are our future leaders, because we need leaders that are stepping up now. Because as Indigenous women, we talk a lot about, Jamie Becker-Finn retiring and what that does, and having one less Native voice in the House is not beneficial. So we need Michael Reyes to win out here in the North, and need more people to run in general, whether it's school board or your city council, or just get involved in commissions, local organizations, local PTACs, your Indian Education Parent Committee. That's how I started. And also, I don't know if many people know, I know you just had Ruth on and I was listening, but our relationship in building into two powerful leaders in the Fargo-Moorhead area is a pretty powerful story on just how when two women show up and say we're going to do something, we really do. And it's been wonderful. We've taken care of each other's families together. Have served our community and cheered on our boys as they played basketball together. So it's actually a pretty cool story.
Yeah, and whatever we can do here on Native Roots Radio to support Native candidates and BIPOC candidates, we would love to help out. So if you hear of anybody, Heather, we'd love to have you, maybe even you have them, have you interview them. That's what I was trying to say. Because you got great radio chops.
I think it kind of starts with having honest conversations of interest, because kind of going back to my story, I was an Indian education liaison who went to school and asked my community a question and then ended up here. I'm a mom, I'm a single mom. I don't feel like I'm anything spectacular, but I continue to show up to do what I think is right. And I think creating spaces, and one thing I've kind of tossed around is like, do we need to have conversations in regions just for women to come, or non-binary individuals, or whoever wants to run, to have honest conversations with already serving individuals? Like, Robert, you talk about serving on the tribal capacity. That's got its hardships. And I think if we're honest about what it's like when we run, we're a little bit more prepared when we're here, and it provides us maybe a little bit more longevity to stay and do the work. Because we say over and over, we can't last as long as some of the counterparts that we have in this work because of the hardships that we go through.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's support here in the Twin Cities when we talk to our friends at Native American Community Development Institute, and also Rock the Boat Native Style, which we were involved with 4 years ago. But we have a friend, Haley, in Wisconsin, Arvina Martin, that runs Wisdom, or she runs what's the organization again?
Emerge Wisconsin. It's
Right.
where they kind of train younger women into stepping into these kind of spaces.
Yeah, maybe we can get Emerge Minnesota going and really support our women and people that that or want to run in a good way.
Yeah, and we've had some of those. I know we have a lot of workshops that do things. It's just getting people to go to them. Like, I need more people to say, I'll go and I'll expand my courage window just a little bit to see where I can step in to help future generations. And so we have some great things happening. I don't know any of them off the top of my head to give you, but I'm sure we could do some research and share that out. But we just need, the more that I get in the campaign cycle and I see who continues to run,
Mhm.
we just need more diverse candidates. So here's my plea to
Well,
anybody listening, whether it's 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 10 years from now, run for something.
well, I've had been blessed in the last 4 years to have three unbelievable producers, and two of them aren't working for me anymore. Heather, maybe you should shoot them an email, and Zoe and Ogama would be great right up that alley too. And I think, just by the years that they worked with me, I think they can be talked into anything. Oh, wow.
Hey, I think Haley can too. Let me sit by her enough at some powwows. I'll talk her into anything.
There you go.
Oh,
There you go, Haley. I don't want to lose her though, because sessions can be as you know, and we've talked about in all seriousness, can be really hard on the soul and time
It really
wise.
can. Mhm.
yeah.
The crazy part though is, like, when you're in the trenches and you're in the hard, it's really, really hard. I mean, you guys see that, right? I feel like there's times when I say, like, I can't come and do an interview because, like, I mentally and emotionally need to just, like, take care of myself. But
Hmm.
dang, the reward sometimes when we get to come out and we get to actually be in community and we see where, we fought so hard for a couple $100,000 to put into this one thing, and then you see it working in the community and you see excitement around it. You get the full circle of the work that we do. And I know that our communities are really grateful, but we have a lot of work to continue to do. And you're right, it is really, really hard. But again, that's why I love community engagement, and that's why I love coming on the show, and being able to talk to Native people about Native issues with Native humor, and like being able to talk about the hard things in a really positive, uplifting way, is actually one of the main things that has gotten me through a lot of the hard times.
Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate you. And I think, we've heard about the Simpsons TV show. They've predicted a lot of things. Well, I've accidentally called you state senator and senator many times, so maybe that's a trend here on Native Roots Radio, Haley.
Maybe. Shantina here says, comment on Facebook, Ruth Ann for president and Heather Keeler for vice president. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
that sounds like, picture perfect match right there.
Right on.
I'll be honest, these conversations come up all the time, right? When you're in the political world. And I feel like I would never do anything bigger because, to be honest, like, I actually really, really, really love serving in the state house. I have 40,000 constituents. I have one school district. I feel like I get to go do really powerful work, but come back to a really small community still. And I feel like I'm serving the people that I live right next to. And I feel like I'm serving the people that my kids go to school with. And I love that. I never got into this work to be like a big political power, political force. Like my number one job is to protect sovereignty while I try to end homelessness. And so stop saying that, Robert. Stop putting it in the universe. I like where I'm at. I want to stay in the house.
Wow, I am putting that in the universe. And one of the things that I enjoy about being a state senator is that you wouldn't have to run every 2 years. That's just hard too. But then, on the other side, you get to see your constituents every 2 years too.
I know. That seems to be a lot of people say that to me that I should run for the Senate because it's only every 4 years, but I actually like being in the House because it's every two, because I get to go talk to my community every 2 years, right? Like I sometimes you think 4 years is a long time and a lot can change in your community in 4 years. And there's something about campaigning. I know as hard as it is, it's fun to engage with your community because they'll tell you, my constituents tell me what I'm doing right and what I need to fix and work better on. And so I think if I did it 4 years, I think it's easy to get a little bit complacent in that. And stop it, Robert. I like the house. I want to stay in the house.
All right, I'll start changing it because I am pretty good at manifesting things for other people. Like my daughter, one of my daughters that lives 9 minutes away now, and she's having twins. But I always said, well, West 7th's a great area. It's still you can get a lot of house for little money, and that's where they live. So they said
Look
I
at that.
manifested that. So I better chill, huh?
Well, I mean, if you want to manifest something, like I'd rather be Speaker of the House than move to the Senate, right? Like then I could stay in my House seat and do some power moves there. Manifest that.
All right, let me write that
Ooh,
down.
good
Let
one.
me write that down. So I asked Ruth kind of a hard question, and we only got a couple minutes in this segment. But what is the most? What is the thing that shocked you the most about being a state representative when you first started, or even still to this day?
What shocked me the most?
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh my gosh, that's a hard question. I did text you what were we going to talk about? This would have been a nice thing to let me ponder for a minute or two.
Wait a minute,
Um,
where's that text?
He doesn't see those.
okay. Well, he does. Um, I just think the gruelingness of the time frame of the work. I mean, there are days that I work 16 to 18 hours and we're making really high level decisions that whoever built the structure in which we make these decisions feels a little bit inhumane. And I knew it was going to be hard. I expected the racism. I expected anti-Indian tactics. Like I really expected that, but it was the gruelingness on our body, and what 8 hours a week would feel like driving in the middle of winter. And, a lot of the things I fight for are really emotionally deep for me. And so I think it's the hours that were so outrageous and that it takes us months to come back to any sort of healthy human engagement space. And that at the end of the day, we do all of that and we're only part-time employees. We only get paid part-time. And it's a very all-consuming position. And so I think that was the thing that was most rocking. And then how mean people can be in a public place and get away with it. I think just how far they can go was eye-opening for me.
Hey, we're here with State Representative Heather Keeler, and we'll be right back after this short break. This is Native Roots Radio.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot. I want to talk to you about the rising energy costs and how you can manage them with the help of 952 Windows. Many people have plenty of insulation in their roof and attic, but the next significant step for energy savings is installing energy-efficient windows and doors. My good friend owns 952 Windows, a part of Loyal Home. They did a remodeling job on our home 20 years ago and definitely did a better job than the other guys. I've talked to neighbors over the years that experienced contractor problems with those other guys, especially when their window and door upgrades fell short in quality and energy efficiency. But when we made our second floor addition to our home, we used 952 Windows and received an excellent price and exceptional workmanship. Since then, we've seen much lower energy bills. So for your next home remodeling project, go with 952 Windows. Trust me, you won't regret giving them a call at 952 Windows or 952windows.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck Manette, owner of Native Concrete and Masonry. With concrete and masonry adding substantial value to your home, it's always a great idea to repair your sidewalks or just add a beautiful new patio. Cracks or heaving in your sidewalks due to tree roots can be dangerous. Native Concrete and Masonry has helped clients across the metro to make their outdoor space safer and helped increase the value to their homes. For patios, sidewalks, driveways, or garage slabs, go to nativeconcretemasonry.com.
This is Leonard Peltier. I am in Coleman 1, U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
I did it. Yay.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That was awesome. Hey, we are here. This is Native Roots Radio, and we're here with State Representative Heather Keeler of the great state of Minnesota. Heather, one of the things that you brought up was kind of what Ruth said too, and we talked a little bit too more deeply. Is that you go in there with a pink cloud, starting your you being a state representative and going, we're going to do some good things here for our people. And then it ends up that a lot of people aren't thinking the same way.
I think the difference in our experiences is she served in a state that really doesn't have great relationships with tribal nations, and I serve in a state that does, and so like going into that, we had different kind of playgrounds that we went into. And so I know she got a lot of good things done in the fact that the climate that she was working in North Dakota for Indian education. I think so. I thought about the question that you asked me a little bit more, Robert, and I want to go back and answer because I think it kind of goes into all of this, right? Is that you do go in thinking, wow, I'm going to make, I went in like, I'm going to save ICWA. I'm going to make a state holiday. I'm going to do all these things. And we did. It was hard. We did a lot of that. We've got a lot of really great things done. But it's the lack of defense. I think that's actually pretty hard. It's because you go in thinking, I'm going to do these things. I'm going to be the lead author and I'm going to get this done. But there's a lot of really bad policy that's in play that's working against us. There's bills that are presented that are designed to silently work against us. And the hard piece is catching the defense, right? And like not letting bad things go into play or not let bad policy continue to go on. And so with that, and you go a little bit deeper and you realize that we have a large amount of adults that are making high level decisions based on their own personal knowledge that impacts sovereign nations, and they have no clue about who we are. They have no clue about our history. And the biggest thing that I've realized is many of the individuals in my party that I serve alongside have no clue the difference between Native American people as politically sovereign people. We have a different political status than individuals from a different race or culture or ethnicity. And really understanding the two and the difference and how as Indigenous people, our political sovereignty is different than being identified as just another race or a minority, and how that plays out politically, and that we have obligations through our Constitution, and that we serve dual citizenship on the same plots of land, that the amount of education I've had to educate these state leaders on basic sovereign knowledge continues to prove that our K-12 system is failing us in the Indian education realm. And so I think you asked like what was so shocking. It was just how unknowledgeable many of these decision makers are when it comes to really the basic things about Indigenous people.
Well, and we got to say too, part of our, we had State Representative Allen before you guys, and we had other people that opened up the doors. But these things that have happened good for the Native community in the last few years in Minnesota are because that we have people like you that are at the table. And with Ruth in North Dakota, she was the only state representative, I believe, that was Native American.
Yeah. I mean, we're sitting in spaces that we're at tables alone, often. And I was just in a conversation with an intern that I have coming into my office. And we said, it's hard when you're the only native in a room and something is said. Like, I feel like this moment, right? Or we've all had this moment where we're the one native in the room, something inappropriate is said, or something really anti-Indian is stated. And everybody in the room looks at you to say something, and everybody in the room makes like they clearly know it was a misstep or something that's inappropriate because they made the gesture to look at you to recognize it. But we need to get people to be like allies that speak up in those moments, not just recognize it. Like, it's great that we're recognizing that really awful things are being said or decisions are being made, but always making the one native in the room, which I'm sure is what Ruth felt in many of those spaces, and similar to what we feel in spaces, is that like, gosh, if we don't say it, nobody else is going to say it, but it's hard to always be the one that has to say it. And so, again, back to my first point in the last segment, we need people to run, because we need more of us at these tables, and we need to be there for each other to support each other while we're at the tables.
Absolutely. One of my favorite too, when I was in the parent committee of Indian education in St. Paul, was I heard the term "circle the wagons," and that one really always gets me in a good way because I always want to start a business called Wagon Burners. But yeah, everyone kind of looked at me after it was said, and it was like, "Oh my God, I don't know what to say to this." Jeez.
Yeah, always educating, always educating. I say that's the thing, is we're not just serving. When we show up from these underrepresented or marginalized or overlooked communities, we're not just serving our constituents. We're also educating everybody along the way about who we are as people, and why we love who we are and why we fight so hard to keep our culture and our sovereignty intact and alive. It's because we're proud of who we are as people. And I think that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, like our friend Angie Big popped up there of Big Guitars. I just got to give her a quick shout out. She said it's exhausting, and she's in the public eye too with selling beautiful guitars on Snelling Avenue, right by the fairgrounds. I just threw in a quick commercial for her.
Nice.
Nice plug. Yeah, it's a busy time.
Right on. Hey, so before I forget, I want to get out in the atmosphere. What your other business and how people can come and support. And I know just listening to you on the radio, which is always cool to hear how great of a uh, speaker you are and how you do that and it's your part-time job too with Two Feathers.
Yeah. So, like I said, being a representative is a part-time job with sometimes full-time obligations. But as a single mom, I do have a business, Two Feathers Consulting LLC. I'm an educational, motivational, and keynote speaker. I highlight Indigenous 101 is really my main topic. I either do a 1 hour or a 3 hour in-depth workshop with education institutions, healthcare institutions, and community engagement organizations, particularly those working with Native communities, both tribal communities and urban Indian populations. I really take a soft approach to the conversations around the difficulty of who we are and our history, but also calling people up to do better rather than calling people out in a shameful way because of history. Often, when you're sitting in places full of non natives, sometimes when we talk about our history, it can feel really shameful. And that's never been my intent. It's one of the greatest feedbacks I get about the work that I do is that it's really coming into this hard conversation from a reconciliation and a space that we can heal together and grow something really beautiful in the future. But that starts by being honest about all the stories of history, and really acknowledging who we are. And so I love that. I love getting out and engaging. The motivational piece is really wonderful because I've always said when I get to a point in my life, I want to be able to go back to the little Heathers in the world and make sure that they know that there's hope out there. And I feel like the creators led me to this place in my life. And I do want to go back and tell all the younger versions of us, my nieces, my nephews, all my relatives, that there is hope in the world, and we are the hope. Us joining together, loving on each other, and being kind to each other is the hope for change that I really believe in.
See, now after we do a show with you, Heather, we Haley and I talk, and it's like, well, this will be the best of. This is the one we'll send out in the network because you are a great speaker and you're the real deal. And we really are lucky and appreciate you coming in and spending time with us, Heather.
You know, your family, Robert, and as emotional as I get sometimes, having you guys as my rock through this time is always so meaningful. And I know that I can reach out to you guys, and it's truly a family. So, Wopida.
Yeah, big Peony Gigi. Wendy and I feel the same way. Hey, this has been Native Roots Radio, and that was State Representative Heather Keeler. If you're listening to the show, you're part of the resistance. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
And free Leonard Peltier now.
Right now.
No one should have to choose between a paycheck and their health.